I love the interaction. Well, they turn the lights down so you can get a good picture of the... I just want you all to know before I get into the slides that we're working in 5 countries, okay? Our base is Zimbabwe. We started with Zimbabwe. This program is 12 years. 12 years will be completed in February next month. And we're working in South Africa, Zimbabwe, Lesotho, Swaziland, and Zambia. And we're also going to be helping in Namibia pretty soon. So it's really grown, and the area is receptive. The gospel is welcomed. But before I get into that, let me just share a few slides with you. This is the Victoria Falls. It looks kind of misty, the picture, because it's the largest falls in the world. It is 1 mile long. It has a curtain of water holding 300 feet, and that is the mist, if you want to call it. It's really a drenching rain, and the falls is at full force. That's the mist coming up from 300 feet, and you have to wear a raincoat or carry an umbrella, you know. And so it's so weird because you're getting drenched and it's blue skies, you know. So, and every now and again you can catch a lovely rainbow. So I want you to see this. These are pictures taken by my grandson. He's 10 years old. So I just wanted you to see some of the pictures that he took. Our grandchildren are going with us, and we are so thankful. And then he caught this, the hippo just had its mouth open at the right time, you know. So anyway, enough of that. So our program, as you know, breaks down into 2 areas, because my wife and I, when we decided to begin this work, we looked at the life of Christ afresh. We saw good works, and we observed good news. And that's the breakdown of our work. And so in Africa especially, these good works propel opportunities to share the gospel, as you will see. So we have a DAD project, which is drilling and drip irrigation. And we thought if we did 50 wells in 10 years, that would be awesome. But we're 11 years, of course, 12 years coming up, but we've done 86, and we're drilling 2 more right now. Water wells are about 6,000. And I'm telling you, we don't drill unless there is a 90% probability. So we've got a driller. Well, let me back off. Before we go to the driller, we've got 2 guys. We've got one guy that's a geologist, graduate of the University of London. And then we've got the other guy that has you know what I mean, he has that stick. And I thought that was a lot of rubbish. It's not. It works. And when it does. And when those 2 meet, and they give you a 90% probability, we drill. And that's why every one of our wells is still pumping after almost 12 years. So we are thankful. Some of our wells have transitioned. When we first started drilling, and for a lot of our wells still in the village areas, we've got a pump, a hand pump. But now, you know, those solar panels have really taken, I mean, they are much cheaper in Africa than they are here. Now, I don't know, maybe because we're getting from India or whatever, but it is amazing. So this is at a Bible school. Those are Bible school students, and we drilled them a well, and they're building their facility in Zimbabwe. And so you can see there is the, and let me tell you, Zimbabwe is 9 months summer, 3 months early spring. So you could pump, with enough energy collected during the day, you could pump 24/7 if you needed to. And the water pumped up into that tank, and then they've got water. So the village people can enjoy it too. So we also have the MOB project, and we, up to the end of December, we were feeding a little over 1,000. And now we're going to up it because we are adopting some other areas, which I'll tell you a bit of later. But here is something that's global. If I had to ask you, you just pretend you're a child now. If I had to ask you, there's no rules, and I'll give you a plate of food, and I'll give you a lollipop. Which would you eat first? Yeah, he's going to eat his lollipop first, buddy. You can keep the food for a while. Let me get into this. In fact, the boy on the right in the green sweatpants, he didn't even know what it was until we unwrapped it, you know, and then he got into it. About 2 years ago, I was in a village in rural Zimbabwe, way in the bush, And I knew these kids hadn't experienced much, so I had bought a bunch of Hubba Bubba packs, you know, had them in my pocket, and I pulled out a couple of Hubba Bubbas, and I just started walking through the village. And and blowing bubbles. And they are looking at me, and I was like a Pied Piper, man. I mean, they were just following me again, and then finally I threw it out to them, and everybody was blowing bubbles, you know, it didn't take long. So this is Noma. She heads up one of our feeding programs. In fact, I am so, these women that volunteer to do our feeding programs, you know, none of our good works, we don't pay anybody anything. I mean, there's no overhead. There's no, functional costs. Every penny goes to the food or to the well. And so this lady with 5 others has been feeding 200 kids for 7 years now. And these kids will get to high school and then they'll move on. By the time they get to high school, most of them become Christians. And they're connected with the church. So, you know, the good works we do is not the end game. The end game is that they know Jesus Christ. The other thing I wanted to share with you, if you saw her, you might think she's just, she's just a worker or whatever. But Noma is going to be one of our teachers at our high school. She's going to teach math and science. She has got her undergraduate degree and she's got part of a master's. And we are sending her back to school, and she's going to be finishing up that and working on a PhD in organic chemistry. I don't know what that is, but I know it's above me. So I'm thankful for the faculty and the staff that we have. So this is my wife, Sherry, on the right, and she's with our granddaughter this morning. And that's another lady, Faith, that also has a feeding program, has been doing it for like 6 years. And they were feeding all these children right here. We are so thankful. Now remember, every feeding, we share the Bible, we teach them. My mom and my sister have both been there and helped in that area as well. I love this picture. This guy, you see what he's focused on? I mean, so he's not focused in a general way. Because, now you can see that's a good plate of food. You know it costs us 50 cents to do that? So there's a starch, there's a sausage, it's a meat, there's an orange, an apple, there's the vegetables, which is the cabbage there, banana, but he's focused on that red. Because he's never seen a plum in his life. And he does not know what in the world that is. Because we were able to get some plums and we gave it to him. And I just love that picture. You go, what in the world is that? You know? But by the way, it was devoured. He loved it. And this is some of the other children we feed. I just want to share this brief story with you. This is Willie is her Zulu name. Her English name is Vanessa. And we have a sister, a widow. She's in her early 70s at the Paladaba West Church of Christ. Her house is at the corner, and across the street is a field. And there's a truck that's been stripped. There was a couple living in the truck. And so one morning she got up and she said, in her mind, she says, I think I'm hearing a baby crying. And it was a newborn. And it was coming from the truck. And so she called out to the people that she had met, you know, and got no word, but just the baby crying. And so she went across the field, climbed up in the truck, and there was this newborn. The parents were gone. In fact, they found out later they just left the country, so they just left the newborn baby. And so she wrapped it, took it to the police station, and the police let her know that, you know, there's nothing they could do or any agency in their way of, they don't have funds for anything. And she says, I just want you to know that I'm going to take this child and I'm going to raise it as long as I'm alive, and then my church will take it from there. And so Vanessa is 4 years old right now. And what is an extra special is that we, the board at the high school, have already approved a scholarship for her till she gets to high school, and then she'll have a scholarship all the way through high school. And if she applies herself, she'll have a scholarship, if the Lord tarries, through our university that we're going to be building after the high school. And she might not ever know her biological parents, but what she will know is that there was God's family that came. Amen. And they gave me a future, because of what God motivated them to do. So I just want you to know that you're a part of this, of what we're doing there. And her story can be multiplied a lot with the children we're working with. So this is our DAD program. our ACT program, which is African Container Transport, and we've shipped 43 containers in 11 years, and we've got 2 on the water right now. You know what blows my mind is how the Lord just takes, the average container is about between, well, the lowest it's been is 8,500, the largest has been about 12,000, 13,000 per container. But we can put so much in it and have so many, there's between 9 and 15 congregations that get helped by one container, and we're shipping it to all those countries. I always think we're going to run out of supplies. No. Not in America, not because of and because of the generosity of Christians here. We are constantly, fulfilling it. And our son Lee, who is at the very left holding the towel, he heads up this program. And the guy on the very right is our oldest grandson, and he's been to Africa 5 times, and he's 15, and he's also helped. They had a tremendous. They had this cyclone that came and destroyed so much of Zimbabwe, and we were able to help. In fact, Healing Hands in Nashville called us and said, can you fill another container? We want to send one too. And we had enough because of people like you, the generosity of people like you. And so this family right here, I just want to share briefly, they were walking down the road. It was up in the mountains. The cyclone came at night. When the sun came up, a house was gone. And then one house was here, and then another house gone. Then there was children looking for parents, and parents looking for children. Gone. Bodies, hundreds, thousands were died. Hundreds were washed into Mozambique. And so this couple had survived the night. They were walking down the street, and they were almost naked because they had got into their beds that night, and then everything just hit. And so we stopped the truck. Haley stopped the truck and got them clothed and then left them some clothes as well. So we were glad to do that. I don't know what happened to that one. Okay. So all of it leads to Shine. And Shine is spiritually helping and nurturing and equipping. And with all these new Christians, we are teaching them. So you can see in the time that we've had to do all these good works, we have planted 87 churches. We've got elderships. In fact, we have 10 elderships that have been appointed so far in those congregations. And you can see the seminars we're having. And this is what blows my mind. I think it's wonderful that you've got a campaign going to Honduras. Because we've got churches here helping stateside, helping in the Caribbean, helping in Central America. That's wonderful, and I'm glad for all of that. To come to Africa, it can be cost prohibitive for a family to come. And so this is what blows my mind. 3 years ago we had 37 that came. Last year we had 50. Well, it's not last year. The year before last, we had 56. Last year, we had 78 people come from America to work with us. And that's just unbelievable to me because it's not a cheap trip. I've looked for a shortcut. I can't find it. So here is the first team that's going to be coming. What I'm saying, in the middle are youth from Zimbabwe. The 2 on the outside from Jackson Christian in Jackson, Tennessee. And they kick off our campaign here in March. That school, that's their spring break. And they bring their seniors. And their seniors have to qualify. But they come and they join us. So they're going to be joining us in a few weeks. I spoke about Mike Counts. I just wanted you to see Mike there, the scientist from NASA. Wonderful guy, very humble. And so, as of last year, and we might find out a few more baptisms, but we had over 1,000 in Mercy to Christ this past year. Now, it's the second number I love, that's 79% retention. We just finished the 2-year study. You say, okay, well, you're baptizing over 1,000 a year. What's happening? You got the front door open. What about that? Well, 3 factors to help with retention. When they come up out of those waters, they are immediately connected, assigned to a study group. Now that's besides the worship and whatever activities are going on at their congregation that they will be a part of. But they have a study group that meets twice a week. And we deal with right from the start, the Bible and how to interpret it and understand it and all that, and go all the way through worship and all of that, But that's it, they immediately connected to that, and that's almost like, I hate to use the word, but it's almost like a tradition. I mean, that's just what you do, The second thing that we do with them is that we plug them into our good books. You want to help with orphans? You want to come into the public schools and teach, help teach, whatever. But we let them help with our good works. The third thing that we have there that you don't have here, and that's the tremendous respect I have for the ministers here, like John, elderships, church as a whole in the United States. We've got so many things in our country that can distract us because it's constant. I mean, our culture is always, what's the latest thing? What happened to the pet rock? Well, then came the Cabbage Patch. Didn't we have something about Yoda this Christmas? Well, what I'm saying is it just changes all the time. And so it's so easy for us to compartmentalize our spiritual walk with God. This is my time for God. Maybe on Sunday. The rest of the week, this is my, It's not that way in Africa because one reason people are so poor. There's no activities. And when they get added to the body of Christ, they are immediately involved in so many things that are church-related, that are God-honoring programs. And it really is tremendous in retention. I showed my son again because he heads that project, but I just want you to know he's 13 years sober. And so Lee, besides here in the South, especially Alabama and Tennessee, he deals with interventions, he speaks, Cross Point where he's at, they're starting to speak several different places. But when he comes to Africa, that's what he does. And this group of young people here, probably about 18 to 25, they didn't know who he was. None of them were Christians. And the community, the preacher, they got all of them together, And he started sharing, about his change and how the revolution that has taken place in his life. And I'll never forget, one boy put up his hand and he said, well, this is after he let them ask questions. He said, well, I just feel like I play better soccer if I can smoke a joint. That's what he said. And Lee said, well, that's what drugs does for you. That's how it fools you. And then he gave a personal story. And then the next thing, a young lady put up her hand and she says, do you think I'm an alcoholic? And he said, well tell me a little bit more. And she said, well, I've been raped and I drink every day. And I just thought, he can do things with what we're doing in Africa that I couldn't. Because these young people were opening up to him because he had been where they were. And so we are glad for him and for that. It's of course wonderful as a father, sit back and hear your son talk. So this guy, these two guys are both in prison. The one on the left for 10 years, the one on the right for 17 years. And we have a prison ministry, and they're out of prison now, and they're working with one of the churches. So there's a lot of details I can go into, but I just want you to see how comprehensive our work is. This is one of the preachers. He preaches for 3 congregations on a Sunday. So on a given Sunday, before he got this transport, he was walking, I think it's 11.7 miles every Sunday to do the circuit. So that's Justin Ziziba. So we had a team come with us last year. A preacher from Texas said, I'm going to get him some buddies and we're going to get him a bike. And that is a beautiful bike. I think it was about $1,500, $2,000. Well, they shipped it to him. So I went out there and I said, Justin, show me your bicycle. And he just stopped me. And straight face, he says, I don't have a bicycle, I have a machine. He's so happy with it. He said he's from these, man. He's loving it, man. So this is the teams that came over. We went into the public schools because of our containers and because we can put textbooks into the schools and also help them with clothes and food. We have an avenue to the schools that no other religious group has. I just want you to know that where we're going right now, there's no quote competition because of what we're doing. So this is the avenue. So we work with over 2,000 public school pupils this summer. And of course, our theme was the wise man and the foolish man, and they got into that pretty good. So, FED umbrella. FED stands for Food, Education, and Discipleship. When I was here last time, I told you we were working on a school, high school, that we had drilled a well. And from that well, we were asked, every time we open a well, I preach the gospel, because community leaders, people are all there. So we use that opportunity. It's always a big ceremony. And then the community leader said, we don't have a clinic in this area. This is in Zimbabwe. Can you help us? And I said, if you'll give us land, not lease us land, I want you to deed us land. I believe the Churches of Christ can build a clinic. Now, I've never built a clinic before, but I know we've got enough people in our brotherhood that we get things done, anything. And so we built the clinic. We opened it up in 2017. Fall. You know that we've had over 400 babies born there already? And you know that we have immersed over 200 women and some of their spouses. So when we will, so we're getting the clinic opened. We want to get as many children inoculated as possible. So I went to all the primary schools first. There's 4 primary schools in the area. We went there and solicited the children, teachers of children to come and get inoculated. Some of them in Denver. And so once that was finished, lining them up, I said, well, show me the high school. And they said they don't have a high school. Now, I'm telling you the story because I'm probably by the time I finish, I might be a little redundant, but I want you to see what's about to happen. They said there was no high school. That they never went to high school. That when they finished primary school, they were done. It's happened that way in this area for generations. So now I said, well, if you'll give us 25 acres of land, I'm thinking big, at least I thought I was, we will build a high school, a Christian high school. So they gave us 20, so there's land adjacent to the clinic. They came back just a few days later, they said, we will deed land to you, but we don't want to break it up. And it is, and when I worked it out, they mentioned it in hectares. When I worked it out, it was 70 acres. And I said, well, I asked for 25. No. Thank you. And now, since they've seen our progress, they've given us an additional 25 acres. So we've got almost 100 acre campus. Okay? Now, this is where I get redundant. There is no other high school in the area. So all of these kids, year after year after year, if the Lord tarries, is coming to our high school. We have a monopoly. They're going to come. We're going to have these kids, and once the university is finished, Lord, we'll have them for 8 years when we share the gospel of Jesus Christ with them. Now you think what that's going to do to the church, because it's a liberal arts university. You know, so we're going to go from agriculture to pre-med to, pre-med. I mean, we're going to do it all. And think what's going to happen if the Lord tarries. All of these students are going to be going out. There is no other high school. So I get chills every time I say that. This is one of their classrooms. We're going to get that corrected. I just want you to see the land. That's my middle grandson that I showed you that sign last time, Amazon Christian Academy. And that's what it looked like last year, okay? That's what it looked like. This is what we've done now. This is some of the students that we're going to have in the future. You can see some of the construction going on back there. This is one of the faculty houses that is, I don't have a picture right now, but it's just about finished. That's faculty housing. So now we've started on the freshman classroom wing. Now, what I'm going to show you now is what we couldn't have done if it wasn't for the gift that we received from individuals and the church as a whole here at Calhoun. I just want to show you where we're going. Now, I just want to let you know this, have this note, side note. If you were there in Africa, you wouldn't have to belong to a 24/7 gym, because that's a great workout. Somebody said to me, where's the heavy equipment? I said, that is the heavy equipment. Every one of those guys are chiseled. Just dig with a pick a morning or an afternoon, through that rock. And it's amazing how quick you go. So there's our slab. Finish. So I'll show you. So here is how. That's how it's going up. Now I wanted you to see that picture because it is a minimal maintenance. There is no central heat or central air. It is a California, Arizona type climate. Low humidity. They don't even use that. So once you have a classroom or building that is just brick, the only wood is the trusses. Once you have all that done, then you've got almost zero maintenance because our school is going to be totally solar. We will never be on the grid. We want to give the brethren there a school that's paid for, and they will have almost zero maintenance. And then I'll get to our income streams there in a minute. Okay. So this is right there. I wanted you to see that stage, and so. So without central air, I mean, you can just see what we got. So I want to thank you for helping make this happen. Now, the Crosspoint Church, where Frank Mills is the minister, they've got a team there that's going to be coming once a year. And they said that if we will have 2 foundations finished of classrooms, that in 10 days they can put up 2 classrooms. So they're going to, and they committed for 5 years. So you just think, well, that's going to do to our campus. Because during the year, we also building. So it's going to go up in a hurry, So we are so excited. Now, we have all our faculty in place, and that's a whole other presentation. I won't share that. But all our faculty is in place. They moved out to the campus in March. We open at the end of the year. What we lack as far as construction opening is, this is not on our property. But this is boys and girls restrooms. It's $25,000. Because one reason is because we have got men and women there that are donating their time because they want their children to get a high school education. I mean, it's just amazing. But we don't lack the 25,000. We lack 7,500 to finish that over. We have to have that completed by the end of the year. And so there's 2 requests I want you to first pray about, and you can help me anyway. We need 7,500 to finish with the classrooms, and there's 250, maybe 47, 250 new converts that don't have Bibles, and we get a hardback. These are Zulu Bibles. These are people and it's $10 a Bible. And so I'm asking you for that. Oh, by the way, there's that field. We're grading it right now. But there's a bunch of leveling that's got to go on. There. Oh, and can I just share this with you? We used to do mission work in the Cayman Islands, in the Caribbean, and we spent some time in the Cayman Islands. And there's a guy there that was part of the youth group at that time, and him and his wife. I married him. I was a mentor to him. He's done very well financially there, but he's the secretary of football. And he's a good friend of the president of FIFA, which is the global soccer body. And so he called me one day and he says, Dorian, I see what you're doing. He said, my wife and I want to provide the field for you. And so I just want you to know that was a mission work when we started, and now there is a mission work that is assuming to help another place. And I'm telling you, I love stories like that when America is excluded. And I don't mean that in a negative way, because American Christians do everything, So that's good that has been passed on. And so this is the team that's coming. Mark Killen is one of the ministers, Russ Lambert, and Mark Henderson. And that's Russ's partner. But they will be coming and they're looking at the property and seeing what they need to do. So let me close with this as far as the income streams are concerned. I wanted to share this with you, and if you have a question or two, you can ask me. My wife and I would not be part of a work that is extended with no exit strategy. So this is a 20-year project. Okay? We're looking at beginning our exit strategy. How do you do that? I mean, we've been teaching, we are maturing Christians. But there has to be a point in time where you say, okay, you're on your own now. But to just walk away and leave them, I mean, one of the key ingredients is there has to be income streams. So right now we are planting 300 orange trees, which you see listed right there, and mangoes on our property. So we'll have a orchard. Okay, that's one thing. We already have an agricultural program. Oh, look at this dude.
Sir, don't worry about it.
Okay, it's all right. So we have an agricultural project. We have tomatoes. That picture you saw was 18,000 tomato plants.
Praise the Lord.
And so we employ unemployed Christians. But do you know that tomato crop? Now remember, we grow all year round. We just move the land around as far as where we plant it. We grow all year round. So that is paying for the clinic. It's a free clinic, just the tomatoes. So now we planted watermelon, cabbage, 10,000 head of cabbage, by the way. So we've got that going. The third income stream is cattle. When I was here last time, we had around 70 head of cattle. It's all right, 70 head of cattle. Now we have 108 head. So the bulls that we purchased are doing their job. They're worth the money. So we want to get to about 300 or 400 head. The fourth is seedlings. We're going to develop a nursery where we'll sell to surrounding farmers. And then the fifth is we'll begin, and this is down the road now, but our school already being solar, we'll build a solar farm. So they'll have 5 income streams when we walk away. We'll be looking at a little under 10 years now. When we walk away, they will be financed there. Now, if anybody wants to come from America and help them out in some way, a donation for this upgrade or whatever, that's fine. But the point is, when we walk away, we want them self-sustained. Because the church cannot grow if we have this unending support with no end game. And I'm hoping that that we're putting it together, it's working, and then we'll duplicate it in other parts of Africa, maybe other parts of the world. But I want you to know that we have an exit strategy, and we are working on it right now. And Lord is blessing us. Our 2 sponsoring congregations has said, as long as you do mission work, Dorian, if you leave here, go somewhere else, we're with you the whole way. So we want to expand what we do in this part of South Africa, maybe to other parts in time to come, if the Lord tarries and gives me longer life. But anyway, I just want to thank you all so much for your help in our work. Any questions?
I want to
Thank you. Yes.
The infant Vanessa that is being raised by that church, how do you obtain her papers for her to be able to get into college?
Okay, so because the situation is so dire, usually we will get a letter from the police, and then the mayor's office will give us, because the parents are gone, so they're not even a factor. So now they've got to take the child, and they don't have resources. So they are glad for us to have it, but there is documentation to say this has been approved, this has been done. Yes. It's hard, and in some African countries you can adopt children, but in Zimbabwe you cannot adopt children and bring them. If you came over there and wanted to bring them home, they don't allow that. But they will allow us to help the orphans there. So that's what we are doing.
One thing I have always thanked God for is people like you, because America here, we don't know nothing. Except when I was growing up, we had growth too. But nothing like compared to what people over there is. And I appreciate you and all the people there trying to help the people there to know about God, first of all. And Jesus Christ. And all the things, because we don't know what hardship is. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah. Well, I'm thankful that you're taking a team, which I suspect young people go to Honduras and see that. But these young people that come from Jackson Christian, when we start feeding those children, they just cry because they have not seen anything like that before. Yes, Duman.
Before we talk about when I was there, you got to see the differences between the Zimbabwean culture and the lack of ease and how those people are transferring. We talk about immigrants from other countries coming here. The Zimbabwean people were transporting themselves from Botswana, South Africa, and other places which we think of as not even having much, but
Right.
have a whole lot. Just speak on a little bit.
Right. South Africa, as Devon was saying, South Africa is really, it's the most developed country in Africa. So from Nigeria, Ghana, all the way down, they are coming, just like our southern border. People are coming, and not just from South and Central America, they're coming from other places too, So it's the same thing because they feel like there's more opportunity there. Unemployment in Zimbabwe, not true of others, but similar, is around 90%. And you figure it out. So the country is run on underground economy. I mean, I will say this for the people that are resilient, but it's a population of about 16 million now, and I'd say just in South Africa, there's probably it's over 3 million Zimbabweans just in South Africa, And so what we are doing with the kingdom, okay? We are sharing the good news. We are planting churches, but we feel like we got to ignore what you could call an economy. And we build our homes, and we'll employ as many Christians as possible, and that's what we're doing with our income streams.
I've got a question. Sudan is a bad place. Do you have anything to do with Sudan?
No,
Good.
we haven't got that. The advantage of Southern Africa, as far as sharing the gospel, is that it is, for some of those countries, it's pro-Christian, Zimbabweans, or we can go in and we can share the good news. But if you go Kenya or not, then you're going to run. I've been asked twice to do conferences in Kenya, and then they have shut it down. The brethren said, no way. Boko Haram and others are they're looking at us. So. But South Africa, I guess, is the only what they would consider land of opportunity where they could go to, and anyway. Oh, sorry. Okay. God said go, and so we go. But God did not say go when everything is fine, the economy is, we blessed here, and we must continue to thank God that we're in this environment. But most of the world is not that way. But we go and we share the gospel. We do what we can. And I tell you what, the brethren there are grateful, and most of the people in Southern Africa are productive people. Zimbabwe is over 90% literate, but the economy is just not there. And I'm not going to go into politics and all of that. All I'm saying, this is the reality of our situation. So, but there's opportunity to share the gospel. People are receptive. Let's go do it.
How do you communicate? What's the language?
So most people speak. I would say a minimum of 2, mostly 3, but they have 2 major tribes in Zimbabwe. One is Zulu, in the Ndebele, but they come from the Zulus in South Africa, and Shona. But English is the language. So they were British colonies. Okay. What happened in some of the countries like Zimbabwe is that they have maintained that educational system to a certain extent. One thing they maintain is that in the cities they teach in English. They don't teach English, they teach in English. So those kids come out after just a short time, they come out, they speak in English, plus Zulu, Shona, So when we go, we with the young people in Zimbabwe, we just go speak English. They all know English. And that's an advantage, big time advantage. Now, some of the older people do not. In the village areas, and that's who we wanting Bibles for. But for people 40 and below, they all know English.
I love it.
Sorry.
treasure work that they're doing, and would like to know, when you bring us supplies like Bibles and things, are you taxed? Does the government tax you for bringing us?
No, actually, we've been quite blessed because we said once we started shipping containers over there, we weren't going to pay bribes, and we haven't had to. Sometimes there's a few minor fees going in there. So we ship. You know, initially we thought if we could ship 120-foot container a year, that would be awesome. Well, you can see how many we shipped. So last year we shipped 3 40-foots, and we're about to do the same this year as well. So, but as far as buying the Zulu Bibles, we'll buy them there. So we'll take the cash transfer and we'll buy it there. Yeah. Well, I thank you all so much for the opportunity, and we would like for some of you to come and drive on the left-hand side of the road with us. God bless.
We can't drive here.
Well, I'll tell you what, buddy, driving the, what's it, 285 on the left, I'm sorry, I'll stay away. So, did you want us to, we can end a little early, is that right? What do you think, John?
Let's go ahead and